Okay, so I know I told you guys that I would have a testimony. I have two because one is so soon. This morning I told you guys, well, welcome all you guys, whoever you are that's watching, God bless you. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. In the last video, finding fulfillment in the day from God, I told you guys I wanted to tell you a testimony. And since that time this morning, that was about 9. It's about 3:14 now. Another testimony has happened. So, I have my bill. You get a light bill every month. Got a letter in the mail. Look, it showed that we already put our money up for the light bill, so basically, I was getting unemployment. And the Lord told me, they told me that it would stop, at like December 28th or something like that. And they said it's going to stop. The Lord told me that they were going to give me, the money up until the end of the year. Then he said, at the end of the year, tell them to stop. You won't need their money anymore because I'm going to bless you. And so I was scared a little bit. And I was like, okay, I said I needed to take care of my family and things like that. And so, but this was a big step for me, and I really wanted God to do something great. And as it turned out, they sent out the December 28th payment. But the Lord just kept tugging on me that December 28th wasn't December 31st. And that was not the end of the year. That wasn't it. There was still days left. And so they told me we won't be sending out any more payments after this is done. But I remember what God said. And so I just told my wife, hey, we're going to file anyway. Let's just do it. God said it. We're just going to try it. Surely, they sent that next payment out as well. And so, and God has been blessing me ever since then. Since then, God has just blessed me. He's put me on paper. I'm on payroll. I get paid. God has just blessed me. And then today, right after I said I'm going to come back and tell you guys about this testimony I have, we call the cable company because we get the letter. We call the cable company like, hey, what's going on? Normally we make a payment. We have to make a payment. They said because you've been making payments, you don't have any payment this month. And so we said, okay, well, let's make sure that the payment isn't going to double next month. They get the supervisor on the phone to confirm there will be no payment this month. You pay $0 this month, and your next bill will be what you regularly pay because we're kind of on the payment thing. But because we pay so well, we've overpaid. Oh man, God is so good. They say there's no bill for this month because you've been paying a certain amount and you've overpaid already. And so the next bill next month will be what you would normally pay on that payment plan. So God is so good. That was money that we did not have to pay, and that was just a blessing. The testimony that I did want to tell you guys about was I was working at the Humane Society. Okay, well first I was working at Little Caesars, and I had witnessed to everybody there, and some people received it and some people didn't, and it started getting hard from the people who did it. And then they put me on cash register. I've never been on cash register before. So here it is Friday night. They had little old me, James, who usually makes dough in the back. I'm on cash register. I'm going, trying to go as fast as I can. The line is outside the door. That's how, sorry about that. That's how bad I was doing. I had my coworkers yelling at me, and I had people in the line yelling at me. And I was asking God during the meantime, God, please, I have to get another job. It's getting really hard there now. And I just kept asking. Here it is Friday night. It was just hard. And during the midst of all of this, the director from the Humane Society, isn't it good how God will send people right in the midst to give you a way out, right in the middle of the storm? And because I did not buckle under pressure and I continued to call on the name of the Lord and put my trust in Him, God really blessed. She just came up and handed me a card and said, hey, do you like animals? And I used to train greyhounds professionally. And I said, yeah, I like animals. I always had pets growing up. And she said, give me a call. I could really use somebody like you. And I was like, that just blew my day. I was like, woo! And so the way that this happened was just wonderful. I went up there, I did the interview, did the background check. I was still working at Little Caesars. They were having a problem retrieving my records because over on the East Coast, which is where I'm from, they had this hurricane over there. So they were taking a while. And isn't this something in the middle of the storm? God was using that to work it out on my favor. And then I was at work one day. I was at Little Caesars. Something just pulled me in the middle of work. I just walked off the job. I said, hold on, I gotta go home. And I went home, and something told me, do not go back. Just as simple as that. Lo and behold, I called, and because I didn't want to leave, in an unhonorable way. So I called and I said, hey, you guys, listen, and the Lord was just telling me to leave that job. I called and told them I'm leaving the job. Guess what happened? About 2 hours later, Humane Society called me and said, you're hired. You got the job. Now, I was taught, and that's why you really have to go by what God says. Because the world will say, you don't leave a job before you get another job. But let me tell you, when you're walking with God, you're going to have to do things that are not efficient to the world and not according to the world's wisdom. And, man, God sure did bless my life. I was there at the Humane Society. I was working in the back with the dogs. The lady hired me because she said she loved the way I handle myself under pressure, which is just the peace from God. And so that was a big testimony as well. And I'm there, and I'm working in the back with the dogs. And I just did that faithfully. And God says, if you remain faithful in little things, I'll make you rule over many. And sure enough, after a month went by, a position in the front opened up with customer service where you actually see the people and you greet them, you dress, so this is what happened. I'm going to get off track here because I get so excited thinking about how good God is. This is what happened. There were people who were there who were already waiting, who have been working there for years, waiting for that position to open up. God opened the door. The company went against their own policy and promoted me and gave me a raise. I wasn't even supposed to, according to them, because company policy said you got to work here for 90 days before you get even considered for promotion. God showed his favor on me. They promoted me, and they gave me a raise. Now check this out. That isn't the end of the story. Jesus died on Calvary, but that ain't how the story ends. That's not the end of the story. So now I'm up front. Everybody wears these this set. It's like it's a blue, all blue set. They're like what do they call it? The things that the nurses wear. Those sets. They're blue or they're green or they're burgundy. And I'm wearing these sets. And sure enough, they allow me to begin to start wearing my own clothes. I mean, because I always like to dress nice with a suit and tie. Most of y'all know me, know I do. They allowed me to do that. I broke the code. God's favor in my life broke the code of the policy for the attire of the front desk. So now people, as you can imagine, people are getting a little bit upset. Here was my struggle. I felt always too confined. I couldn't go out and minister to people. Like there were times I had to literally sneak out and went out to do it and speak a word into somebody's life. Because if I did it there in the place, they may have took offense, made a scene, I could have lost my job. And so I would have to wait literally until they walked out the door, go, look around, make sure I'm safe, run out the door, talk to them, hey, Jesus love you, God told me to tell you this and that, hey, here's the church card, I would love for you to come to my church, and just encouraging people. And so it began to bother me because there were too many times that I couldn't. And the pressure, and at this time, me and my wife had been going through, every day she picked me up for lunch, we were studying the book of Revelation. So we would read and study it every day on my lunch break. And man, by the time God got through with us and that book of Revelation, my whole entire mindset changed. I was just like, I can't do it anymore. It's killing me. Because here I am trying to sneak out the door to minister, worried about a boss over my head who's not going to allow me to do what I was originally put on earth to do. That's what I'm put here to do. I'm not here to service people to help them get animals. Man, I'm here to glorify God. to win some souls. I'm here to save some people from going to hell. I'm here to do the Lord's work. And so it was really bothering me. Nevertheless, I stayed in that job. I was not just going to up and leave my job. I had a family. God said, man who don't provide for his own is worse than an infidel. And so I wasn't finna be worse than no infidel. I may not be all that. But I knew I had to take care of my family. And so I stayed there. And the pastor preached this message, told us to go home and write down our goals and stuff. So I did that. And I wrote it down. 3 things I want to do. I said, God, I want to start a missionary business. And I want to start a ministry. And I want to do it like a business. Because God, all of these people, they take and they have these businesses that have nothing to do with ministry, and they're being professional about them. Why is it that when it comes to your work, God, we get sloppy? And I said, no, I want to do it professionally, God. So God started beginning to give me stuff for my office. Gave me a flat screen. I put it on my wall, a computer, a desk. This is the office that I'll show it to you shortly. I have a whole office set up in here, and these are all things that God provided for me. But before that, there was just a list. I said, God, I want to start a ministry business called Steps with God Outreach Ministries International, and that's what this ministry is. And I wanted to do that, and I said, God, I just wanted, I wanted to work for God, and so sure enough, 2 weeks from that point of God, I just kept hearing him say, leave your job, and I was afraid, and I was like, I don't really know, God, if that's you, because I know you're not going to tell me I love you, sweetheart. That's my beautiful wife taking off. Telling me, leave your job, and I'm like, God. You told me to take care of my family. Now, you didn't tell me to leave my job. Well, God told me to do it before, and I did it. It's just that now I done got a little promotion, got a little raise, and I was struggling. God, I want to leave this job. This is a good job. And so, sure enough, 2 weeks went by. I just kept hearing it. I struggled with it. At the end of those 2 weeks, they called me up in the office and gave me a pink slip. That's what they did. And as soon as they gave me that pink slip, I understood I was supposed to leave this job 2 weeks ago. But I had such a peace. As soon as she put the paper in my hand and she put my check in my hand, I just said, thank you, Jesus. And I said it, and I made sure I said it loud enough for her to hear. And God gave me such a peace and such a joy. And talk about being in the blessed place of God. I called my pastor. And I said, Pastor, they let me go. Please pray for me. And Pastor said, I want you to come in and meet with me. And Pastor came in, and I came in and met with Pastor, and talk about God setting things up and setting things for an appointed time, and opening doors no man can shut, and shutting doors no man can open. I said, you come over here and come help us out, and we'll help you out a little bit. And, God, at the end of this year, God told me to let unemployment know that I won't need their services anymore. And DSHS and all those people, and so I did. Unemployment, and then I let DSHS know and let them know, hey, I don't need your services anymore. And don't you know, the church hired me. And so it's such a blessing now to be able to tell that testimony. I went from Little Caesars, and while I was going there, I said, baby, I'm going to just remain faithful over this job. It's called Little Caesars. I'm there for a reason, because God told me if I remain faithful over the little things at Little Caesars, he'll make me ruler over many. And God has blessed me tremendously to be able to mentor and counsel people to do what I love to do. With all my heart. I love helping people and ministering to people and growing people and just being there for them. I love speaking a word and speaking life into people, dragging people out of the fire. I love explaining salvation and winning people to Christ. I love walking people through the process. I love learning. And so it is with all of us. And so I really wanted to share that testimony with you today, that trust God above all. And before I could even finish the rest of this day, I was able to come to you and tell you that God blessed me with the money that I didn't even have to pay. And I've been sowing seed at the seed. I sowed a seed Sunday. Every time I sow a seed, one time I sold a $20 seed. God told me just go and sow a $20 seed. The next day I got a $1,000 check. You know, God is so awesome. You just got to have this walk with God.